Hello and welcome to the 2020 Winter NAMM show, and this, I have to say, is always my favourite moment of the show, when I get to speak to probably the most popular man in the whole of NAMM. I mean, people coming back and just grabbing you, Mr. Richard Hoover from Santa Cruz Guitars. Richard, how are you?
Oh, always a pleasure.
It's so good to see you, and again, just a phenomenal booth with outrageously beautiful instruments.
This is undoubtedly more custom guitars from us than you could see anywhere in the world. But you're working on it. You know, you'll do it. Yeah.
And this year, it is. You always have such a homely feeling to your booth. You know, everybody comes through. You know that everybody, doesn't matter what the guitar is. People are picking them up, they're playing them, they're looking at them. You're there to talk them through the tone woods, the sustainability of the tone woods, and you know, I just think that's such a wonderful thing for such a big show like this.
Well, you know, I'm really glad you feel it, Ben, because you know our jobs are really only a vehicle to get through life, and this is my bank account. You know, the goodwill, the people we've met, and the people we do business with. In fact, I just got up from talking to the third generation of our Indian Rosewood supplier.
Wow.
And that's the stuff that makes it real. And if ever I gain irrelevance and I can't come to the show anymore, that's what I'll miss.
Oh,
you know, that
amazing
camaraderie with it.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So
I feel good today.
So, without further ado, I'd love to talk about these two very special instruments that we have got coming into the showroom that are on the wall right here. Mm-hmm. So, tell us a little bit more about this FTC that we've got coming in.
This is really dear to my heart, this model. What the concept of it is to make an instrument that really projects like an arch top, but has the sustain and the warmth of the flat top. And so this is that hybrid. Of the two.
Look at that. That is.
This is very much made in the violin tradition. So the back is carved by hand. It's tuned to the airspace on the top, and it shocks people how loud it is. You know, when people play it from behind, it's satisfying, but it's not as dramatic. And then they come around to the other side, and they have to chase their hat. Yeah.
Well, because we were lucky enough to bring in one instrument into the UK, which one of the FTCs that came through very quickly, and we had another one that went to Nashville. And every time that they find their new homes, we get the most incredible emails, as I'm sure you do, about this particular model. What is it, do you think, that really speaks? Because it is a very versatile guitar, but what do you think that really speaks to the player with this model?
Well, you know, one of the things that is our specialty is controlling the elements of sound. So anything you can manipulate on your sound system, we can manipulate in the sound of the guitar. And this particular one, if we made this out of a different wood, would still have the projection, but the tone, the bright to dark, would be different. Yeah. And we may change the EQ for the player's style. So this particular guitar, the top on this, I believe, is
it's a European spruce.
Yeah, European's kind of a generic. It's probably Italian Swiss border, where Stradivarius and the School of Amati got their stuff. Yeah. It's bright and clear, not trebly, mind you, just articulate. So that spruce combined with the maple, the European maple, make for a guitar that really you hear every nuance, every note that you play. Yeah. And for an accomplished player, it's a dream come true. You know.
Absolutely love that.
And for a guitar that was maybe a little more vocal accompaniment, more rhythm, we might tone that tone down, sorry for the pun, by using a rosewood, something with a little warmer tone. Yeah. And the EQ on this is braced and tuned to be almost even, which you want in like a jazz classical, unlike a bluegrass or rock where you might want a more predominant.
Absolutely.
Thing. So it's really well thought through.
It really is, and it is just looking at it here under the light. It is flawless in every single way. So.
I'm sorry, I was looking around. I was looking for Michael that does this color work and give him a shout out. Right. His heart is so into this, and it shows.
It does show. It really does show. I mean, look at that set. It looks like velvet from where I'm standing.
My standard is it has to look edible. Yum, yum.
And the neck as well. I mean, we're not even focusing on the neck as well. It's quite outrageous.
Yeah, the maple neck is actually part of the projection of this guitar. The more mass we put here, the more energy is blocked from chimneying into it. So the energy from the strings really focuses out the sound hole. Yeah,
That is
it's
just.
a real pro instrument.
It is just.
And it's a delight. And I'm really glad it's going to you. You appreciate it. Yeah.
Well,
And a quick anecdote. I'm sorry, you can use this if you want. We made this guitar originally in about 79 or 80. No one understood what it was, and it was horribly expensive. It was probably like $1,600 or $1,800 back then, but we could not sell it. And 40 years later, now people actually believe we know what we're doing, and it's really successful. But this is a guitar that Eric Clapton saw a photograph of back when we were kids and bought one and put us on the map.
you know what? I remember coming to your shop, and we were hanging out, and then I looked up and I was like, there he is. There he is. There's a picture of the man himself. Yeah.
That's a great break.
That must have been a very humbling but incredible feeling to have someone like Clapton.
It's a beautiful thing. It's validation, and it gave us credibility. Somebody then could have played one of our guitars and thought it sounds 200% better, but what would their friends think if they didn't buy a Martin?
Yeah.
But when Eric Clapton has one, it's okay.
Yeah. And well, the good news is for you is if you ever do come over to London, both Richard and myself love Eric Clapton, and we pretty much have him playing 24 hours a day in the showroom. Anyway, so so this isn't coming to ours, but I want to talk about it because it is so beautiful. An all Koa triple O.
Koa's one of my favorite woods. I can be a little fickle, we find a new wood and it'll turn my head for a while, but I continually come back to Koa. It has the tonality of mahogany. It retains some clarity, but it's more friendly and warm. But mahogany has such a stigma as a cheap wood. It's my career goal to get it the respect it deserves, but when we use Koa, that people can see.
It's astounding how beautiful that is. It really is.
And it may not be acceptable to put color on Koa because it's naturally so beautiful, but we couldn't resist.
Yeah. Well, it makes the grain just pop, doesn't it? It really does, which I think
that's the idea.
That's what it actually enhances the visual aspect of the guitar.
Interestingly, we don't put any more lacquer on to get this color. It becomes part of the layers, and spacing it like that gives it the depth.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously a very light finish too.
Yeah. This would be 4 consecutive pieces cut from the same board to get the symmetry on the back.
Oh, look at that! And to get, well, I haven't played it yet, but I can already hear it just looking at her. But so the trouble is, getting really great Koa is quite a challenge.
It is.
And you've got such awesome suppliers, haven't you? And such great relationships with them.
Yeah, and I don't want to boast in making this statement, but acquiring wood has become easier for us because the nature of the relationships with the small families we buy from gets more trust, more respect. We work together more evenly. Don't get me wrong, we pay.
Yeah, well, you have to, exactly.
But to access it is easier than it used to be.
Yeah. So with this is the big one that I am really excited about sharing because we when I was sent this photo of this instrument, I absolutely fell in love because the set of Brazilian Rosewood on this guitar is something that, like you said, you almost didn't want it to leave the shop because it was so beautiful.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. It's like, it's supposed to be a guitar, but I hate to let it go.
I'd love to just take this off for you just so you can talk us through this gorgeous OM.
Yeah. The spruce on this is Sitka Spruce from Alaska, which everyone knows is blonde, right? But this was frozen in the earth for 3,000 years. Actually, it's the scientific test shows it's almost 3,000 years old, which turns any of us blue. Right? Yeah. When we do that, and it's real wood. It's not petrified or fossilized. It's just like an old violin. The benefit of age, the polymerization of the resins sounds beautiful, and it looks beautiful.
And it looks just Yeah,
And
it's haunting how beautiful it
the
is.
design challenge on this was not to detract from the beauty of the wood, but to draw your eye to it. So this power shell from New Zealand is beautiful, but it's done in a proportion that is prettier the closer you get. Right?
Yeah, and not overbearing in any way.
That's right.
You know, you've really just, it's very subtle, and
And that's continued
I know.
all around here. So this Brazilian Rosewood is, like I said, don't expect to see this every time. This is really a no excuses, beautiful, beautiful old wood. And it's reclamation. It's reclaimed from trees that were cut over 100 years ago. But they were cut with a two-person saw, so they were cut here, not down there. And they're the remainder of the trunk. The oxidation, that's where the color comes in Brazilian, not the living tree, but after its death. And the resin's polymerized, and it's like this gold mine or an incubator for this beautiful wood. So with that reclamation, we also have the provenance, the chain of custody, the paperwork to make it perfectly legitimate with CITES registration.
That's awesome, because that obviously is still a concern, isn't it? You know, that's a big thing.
With good cause.
Yes,
With
absolutely.
Good cause. I can't think of any regulations that were designed for preservation that I disagree with.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And thank goodness I have grown-ups that will fill out the paperwork and pay the permits on it.
Well, what was incredible is when I was sent a sort of preview of this guitar, I immediately just jumped on it. I was nervous because I thought to myself, wow, that is a heck of an instrument. But I jumped on it, and I immediately have a very good customer of ours, a great friend, and I said, you've got to look at this picture. And I sent it to him, and he went, I want that guitar.
I know these costs. I know because of the time and the rarity of materials. But the beauty of our style of building is our target isn't a price like most consumer goods and guitars included. It's the gratification of one customer.
Yeah.
And we won't waste their money, but we do whatever it takes to get what they need, and we charge accordingly.
Well, he actually had previously bought one of the Ghost guitars, and he, I believe he emailed, I believe he emailed Caroline immediately as he opened it and just said, I think this is the finest guitar I've ever played. So,
This,
you know,
I'm sure this doesn't come off in this light, but there's so many changes in color in this, from a bronze to blue to silver.
It is so beautiful, and I love.
Sinatra's sport coat.
Well, you're wearing a very dashing coat today.
Thank you. Let's try to keep it that way. I clean up nicely.
Richard,
Been always a pleasure.
it is such a pleasure and an honor to hang out here with you, and you know, to see just the admiration that everybody has for you and what you've done with Santa Cruz Guitars and what you continue to do with Santa Cruz Guitars, and we're just honored to be a part of the team.
We're going to have some fun, and it's nice to share this with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So there you got a couple of amazing instruments coming in from Santa Cruz Guitars. So for more information on the finest luthier-built instruments, then please do subscribe to this channel. But for more information on Richard, the team at Santa Cruz, or any of the beautiful instruments we've got coming into the showroom, don't hesitate to get in touch.